It's Dave Meltzer here live at VCon with the Playbook, and we have the extraordinary Greg Wilson in the house from Precision Financial. And Greg, welcome to VCon and the Playbook.
What's going on, Dave? How you doing, man?
You know, super excited to have you. When I get to have someone on the Playbook, it's nice to have the Cameron Diaz's and the Dan Aykroyds of the world and the Sadhgurus and the Deepak Chopras. But believe it or not, some of the greatest lessons that resonate most with my audience are people that are like my audience.
Right.
And the reason I wanted you to come on the Playbook was to talk about some of the real issues that you have as an entrepreneur who's trying to build a brand.
Yep.
And that weird nuance of building a brand. But first, let's give a little background on Precision Financial.
Sure.
You know, what exactly do you do?
Yeah, so, you know, I've got about 15 years experience in finance. I'm a CPA. And Precision Financial is founded by a good buddy of mine, Wes. And what we do is we provide accounting and outsourced CFO consulting for small and mid-sized businesses. So, and we really help, we really have a passion for businesses, helping them grow and really helping business owners win at the game of business. So it's more than just accounting, but I've kind of grown that into, evolving into the Rapid Revenue Blueprint, which I've launched, which is more so helping e-commerce business owners grow, build, and scale their businesses through an online coaching program, an online course, and kind of a mastermind. So I'm trying to build a community of really like-minded business owners to really help them win at the game of business.
So that last sentence sounds super exciting to me, right?
Yeah.
Trying to help business owners get the most out of their business. But I have to be honest,
Yep.
the first part of it, the Precision Financial part, although that's something I need,
Right.
it's not something I'd like to do. It sounds like super boring and super repetitive and mundane.
Yeah, and that's what accounting is, right? But that's not, that's not me as a skill set that I have. It's the thing, it's I think what every business needs it, and they need really core accounting, and our team provides that at a very high level, so.
And it does, and your reputation precedes you, which is why also I have you on talking about this because of the credibility that you and your partner have in the space.
Right.
But it's still boring. And
Sure.
that presents a problem to 80% of the people on earth, is that they're doing a skill, but it's boring. And I'll use Sean Walchef as an example, one of my other clients from San Diego.
Yeah.
So he owns a barbecue in Spring Valley, California, and he comes to me as a coach, and he's like, dude, I want to do what you do.
Right. It's the exact same reason I came to you, by the way.
Right, which is weird because I ran the most notable sports agency in the world. I ran Samsung's phone division. I was a multi-millionaire in my 20s, and I'm thinking in my head when the first Sean Walchef came to me, and there's many more like you, I'm thinking, you cannot promise something you can't deliver.
Right.
You can't sell vapor to this guy. And so I spent a lot of time learning what I did and seeing if it was applicable to what anybody else in the world could do that had boring jobs that aren't running the most notable sports agency in the world. And guess what? It worked even better.
Right.
So, Sean has a multi-million-dollar brand. He has sponsors, he's an entrepreneur, he has a hospitality, digital hospitality, he coaches, and now you're doing the same thing.
Right.
But what's so funny is you still have to have that relationship between activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for. How are you still able to stay inspired by running one of the most successful financial companies in Southern California compared to being at VCon on the biggest activation and creating content with me?
Yeah, I mean, I think I used to fight it for so long because I like finance, but it wasn't really my passion. Accounting wasn't my passion. I was pretty good at it. But when I started working with you, it was really more about how can I align a skill set that I have and then really use that to start to serve people on a higher level and really start to scale. And my mission is really to improve myself daily, relationally, financially, professionally, physically, emotionally, so that I can give people the tools and resources to be excellent in their life. And that's really what life is about for me. So using a skill set that I've taken so much time and gone to college for and pivoting that towards helping people in different capacities, right? And living how I want to be, and living how I would want somebody else that I would look up to. So really just pursuing my potential every day, as I'm sure you would put it.
Yeah, no, and empowering others to empower others. So
Right.
it makes you a perfect candidate for me to work with, because you're empowering others to empower others. But
Yeah.
that doesn't stop the challenges that you face every day.
Yep.
And so I want you to talk through, like, it's one thing to be really good at what you're good at.
Yeah.
It's another thing now to help empower others through content,
Yep.
podcast, videos. What did it feel like when you first started and you're, capturing and watching yourself, and what were some of the things that went through your head?
Yeah, a lot of self-doubt and super scared to even post my first video. And if you look at my social media right now, it's not accounting and finance related, it's really like life related.
Good.
And personal excellence and like pursuing your potential. And like that stuff's very vulnerable to me, but it's very relevant because that's what's most important really about life, is like we all have these skill sets on how we can help people, but I want to have that deeper connection with people and really help them on a deeper level get through some things in their life. And I've struggled with a lot of things like depression and anxiety and even alcohol in the past, and just being aware of those things and kind of bringing it all full circle, sharing my story of how I've overcome that, and just helping people with that and being an inspiration. Like that's really what gets me fired up, and that's a lot what my content is about now. And putting those first videos out was really scary. I think the first, I told you, I think it was it took me like 5 hours to record like a 30-second video, and then it took me like 2 days to have the balls to actually put it up, and then nobody really sees it or whatever. So
That's great.
But now it's 20 minutes videos, and it really in all honesty, one of the big reasons I do it is it's therapeutic for me and reminds me of the person I want to be, and how I want to operate in life, and continuing to make myself better. So,
And you are, but yet it's still awkward, to build your brand. Do you still question whether or not you want to do the content side of stuff?
No, not at all. It's one of those things I almost have to do it. It's such a calling for me to do it, and I don't do it for the attention. I'm naturally a very introverted person. I don't even just being on the podcast. It's it's a little nerve-wracking for me, but it's I feel a very strong calling to get my story out there, and if I could just help one person, that's really all it's about, kind of at the end of the day. So,
And it's amazing. Now, one of the things that I teach that's difficult is to be consistent.
Right.
And it's really interesting because you're one of those people who may lean like me towards the more obsessive compulsive side of things.
Yep.
So it's easier for us to be consistent, but yet as easy it is to be, or easier to be consistent, it's still, to me, I think the biggest challenge when it comes to content.
Yeah.
That,
Well, it's fine. It's finding the same, I feel like I'm saying the same shit a lot of times too. You know what I mean?
How do you think I feel, man?
I go back to that. I think about it, but yeah, I'm I posted this a month ago or whatever, but people forget what they saw 30 seconds ago, right? And that's kind of the other thing too, of getting over that fear of posting and doing things is I don't remember. So it's just the more people that resonate with me, or the people that I resonate with, I keep watching them. I'm oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. And continuing to implement that in my life. Do the same thing with books. It's find a couple books that I'm got to keep reading this because I haven't absorbed everything yet. I haven't implemented it into my life. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's two things that go on there. One is it takes repetition to learn. Mm-hmm. So we forget that when we're teaching.
Yeah.
And the other one is beyond it takes repetition to learn, is that when we learn, we have different lenses that we're learning with. So the lenses that you read Think and Grow Rich at 18 with Napoleon Hill are different than 38, 48, or 58.
Yeah.
And so you're better off taking the best content and rewatching it so it absorbs, and then you're better off rewatching it because you're a new lens and you'll learn more about it. Shit appears that you didn't even realize was there. And it's funny because I have coaching clients like you who during the coaching sessions, been with me a while, will say, you'll say something I know, I feel like we keep going over the same thing.
For sure. I've said that to you multiple times.
Right.
I'm like, I think I'm just paying you to do the same thing over and over again. Tell me the same shit. But it's
Right.
like, it's
In a
worth
different
it.
way. Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it because
Yeah.
it continues to work. So that's great, you know.
And I think
we
the
need
lesson
that.
is when you're teaching,
Yeah.
that you have to think of yourself as a student what's beneficial for you.
Yeah.
And it is, for me, beyond the fear that nobody's there, beyond the fear that people laugh at you, scoff at you, and make fun of you, especially the people close to you,
Right.
is the other side of, I keep saying the same goddamn thing,
Yeah.
and it's not sinking in. Those are the three things I think that create resistance to people helping other people by providing content to other people that they don't see a purpose behind, even though they may feel like there is. Now, there's another thing that exists, and it's the time. Mm-hmm. And two types of time. The time it takes to do it, you told me it started at 5 hours and then 2 days to get the nerve to post it. But it is time every day that you're choosing not to do something else.
Right, exactly.
And that can get either lonely or lack inspiration.
Totally.
How do you deal with, you have blessed more options, opportunities, touches of favor, not only professionally, but personally, right? Like you're still single.
Yep.
There's a lot of options out there.
Yep.
They didn't have half of those different apps when I was dating. So how do you resist the interference that's created? Like, am I wasting my time?
I think I really just try to focus on, again, it's been more of like a calling for me of like, I have to do this. And if I can just help one person, I just think about that. And really, if it goes deep, it's like the person, I really don't like love the person I used to be. I love myself a lot more now. But I know there's other people in that position. And so I feel like there's just that calling to reach out to people and do it. And that's really what keeps me going, even when nobody's watching. Like, I don't have a big following right now, and that's okay. Like, I know, like, I'm not chasing the big following. I'm chasing what my potential is, and getting better, and coming on here and doing podcasts and getting out of the box and doing videos and things like that, because it's just making me a better person, and then so I can just inspire others as well.
And building a community takes time. You obviously are trained, coached, and mentored by me on how to build a community.
Yep, want it to happen fast, but it doesn't work like that.
No,
so, yeah.
But from the start, we get and derive value from the community.
Yeah.
Different values, but one of them, in a question that a lot of people get into the game about, is monetization.
Right.
Like, a lot of people do get into the game saying, oh, I'm going to build a podcast like Dave Meltzer and sell sponsorships, right? That doesn't just happen, but I don't think people are aware of what value you do get, even at the very beginning when you have a small community. What value have you gotten business development wise, beyond you getting clarity?
Yeah.
But there has been economic gain, even though you don't have a big enough podcast to get Breakout to sponsor you at a VCon.
Right. Right. Definitely. I mean, I think everything I do, even in the financial world, like, we don't do any outside marketing. Everything is like relationship based. So I really just try to build those positive relationships with other people. So, I'm a money guy. I'm a finance guy. So it's my mind goes there often. I won't lie, but like, when I start to take the pressure off of whether or not I'm going to make money on this and just do it with an open heart and good intentions, that's actually when like the relationships and things come about, right? And I try not to I think we all struggle with this a little bit, but try not to let the external validation of like somebody DMing me and being like, oh man, you're such an inspiration, this is great, but like those little things every once in a while, they really do help, especially in the beginning of like, and sometimes I'm just asking the universe of like, come on, like I just need something, like a little bit of a sign. I've been doing this for 2 weeks. Like it's just the grind. I don't know what the hell I'm doing anymore. And like always, like something will pop up.
Thank
right?
God, or else you'd be like F Dave Meltzer.
Right,
he
for
doesn't know
sure.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so good. So, let me just tell you this about what you're talking about, validation.
Yeah.
I try to teach people, hey, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Right.
And it's something we all fight. And people have laughed at me, scoffed at me, made fun of me. Big people that do applaud me now.
Yeah.
But I still think it's important to soothe or at least reduce the ego a little bit to feed the ego every once in a while. So when I travel, and I went on this extraordinary trip to Sydney and Bali in the last week. Spoke in Sydney, Bali, meetups, business development meetings, teaching. Majority of it was vacationing with my wife in the interment of that. But one of the most inspirational things that I loved about my trip was every day of my trip, there was not many, but at least one person that gave me that validation in person around the world.
Yeah.
Like at my meetup, this one lady is like, "You changed my life."
Right.
In Bali, the valet guy was like, "You're the financial guru on YouTube. I watch you every night," and brought all his friends around. He's like, "Look who it is."
Yeah. But how do you not let that get to your head?
Right. That's all. But my wife makes sure of it.
For sure.
Right. And she'll say shit like, "Did you pay this guy?" But it's so funny because I don't want to need it, but I have to be honest. I think, like you, sometimes I just need it. Like I'm thinking, hey, I just spent millions of dollars, to help other people. Like, show me a sign at least. Like,
you're on the right path. Yeah, you're on the right direction.
And so I wanted to illustrate that because I am a person who teaches to stop, drop, and roll when you have the ego, identify it and utilize it.
Yeah.
I'm coming to a realization that it's okay to feed it every once in a while, just so that you have a marker, or it's like, it's not where I live, but it's where I visit that matters. And, kind of like nutrition. I think you want to live in a healthy diet, but it's okay to vacation in a chocolate piece of cake, or something.
Sure.
So I think it's okay to vacation with somebody blowing smoke up your ass that you changed their life.
I mean, you're lying if you say you don't need, you don't like it or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
and you're lying too if you don't say that guy hurt my feelings when he called me fat,
right?
Or stupid or whatever else they call me.
But it's like you say, spending the just the minutes and moments in there, or like even if somebody gives you a compliment or something like that, it's like, oh yeah, like great, thank you, and take it and then move on and do what you're doing, right? Don't let the highs get too high and the lows too low, because
be at ease, not at dis-ease, because too high is dis-ease, too low is dis-ease. Last question. You have been around some of the world thought leaders now. You've worked with me for quite a bit of time.
Yes.
You're building your own brand. You have an extremely successful profession. The activity you get paid for, extremely successful. And people, if you're looking, like I always need great guys like you, and that's why, the main purpose of introducing people to Greg is not because he has the greatest content in the world yet. It's literally he's the best at Precision Financial. These guys do their job, which is why it's successful. But with all the people you've been introduced to now, your podcast guests, even coaching with me, and the books that you've read, I always like to ask, what's that number one takeaway that you'd like to share here at VCon?
It's really just kind of following your heart. I've listened to a lot of people that it's amazing to be around so many people that have been not just financially successful, but emotionally and mentally. You can tell, like, people here are like happy. I work with a lot of people that are very successful, and you can tell they're not happy. They're not. Yeah. They don't have it like.
I was one of them.
They don't all have it figured. Not that you have to have everything figured out, but I think the biggest takeaway is, like, there's a path to really have, like, the things you really want in life, and how to serve people at such a greater scale. And everybody here is just wants to serve and help people. It's just such an amazing community of people, and it's cool
that's why
seeing
you belong,
that's very
man.
Possible,
Yeah, we want to create a community of people who want to help each other and know people that can help each other. That's what Greg Wilson, and that's why Greg Wilson is part of my community. If you want someone to be in your circle of interest or sphere of influence, it's Greg Wilson. You got to check him out. His podcast, his content. A great coach as well. Check out the Rapid Revenue Blueprint.
Yep.
It's a great, easy way to get started. Yep. Greg Wilson, thanks for joining me here at VCon.
Thanks, David. Appreciate you.
I'm Dave Meltzer with the Playbook. Thanks so much.